Alright, had some malfunctions with the camera. I guess I wanted to die, so unfortunately I don't think I was able to show you guys putting the block heads together and tightening them down, but it's fairly simple. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to install pistons. So first thing you want to do is move the crankshaft till where the connecting rod is at its lowest point. This one is not in yet. Just put this in here. So I'll pop this bad boy out, if I can get it out. Right. So we got that out. First things first is that you want to take your rings, your piston rings, and you're going to want to measure the ring gap and make any necessary adjustments. So like this is the second ring here. I'm going to put that in. What you're going to do is take your piston, put it in. Well, I already installed the oil rings on that, so I'll take a piston, put it in here, put it in a certain amount of ways, halfway, and we'll check it again. This spec for this oil ring is 0.37 millimeters. So I got it in there. There's a ring gap. You're gonna want to check that gap. Make sure it's good, because as the engine heats up, the oil rings expand, so you don't want them to break. So that feels pretty good. It's 0.37. I will push it down just a little farther, and we'll just double check in the bore here. Still feels very good, so I'll pop that guy out. That's my second ring. Do the same thing with primary ring. Put that in there. Go down. This is going to be 0.20 millimeters. That's where you want this one at. That feels wonderful. Pull it back. That feels good. I'm talking about ring gap. I'm talking about the space between the rings, the end gap at the closed position. When you put it in the cylinder, it goes together. So what we're doing is taking a feeler gauge and we're measuring the end gap of it. So the first ring, the primary ring, and the secondary compression ring have two different specifications. So with every ring, before you install it on the piston, you want to put it in there like I just showed you, measure the end gap. If the end gap is too tight, you're going to want to take a piece of sandpaper or something and just shave down a little bit of the ring, and that is going to give us our spec. So I already got the oil rings in this piston. This is the right side of the block. It's important to note that this says R on it, and this dot, it has to be facing forward toward the crank shaft bolt. So what I'm going to do is install a secondary ring. Another thing to note is that these have markings on them. You want the markings to face up. You want to position both rings directly opposite from each other. If you have them towards each other, you're going to have problems with compression and blow-by. So every ring needs to be opposite from each other. Alright, so take a little bit of oil. I'm going to put some oil in the cylinder, just a little bit, smear it around in there, because we want our piston to slide in perfectly. Another thing to notice is that when installing the piston, I want to make sure that first you install the piston clips, the wrist pin clips, because they're a pain in the ass once you get it in there and you run the piston pin in there. You realize that you didn't put it in, you're going to be really irritated because you have to take it apart again and then drive the piston back in the bore. So that goes in here, flip it on this side. Put it in the hole. You want to take a screwdriver or whatever, pliers, and move it around, make sure that it's set. So we got our pistons all, first piston ready to go. So next I'm going to take my ring compressor. Also with that, you're going to want to take some lube or oil or whatever and lube it up. It's going to make it so much easier to slide in there. I got mine from Sears right here. Does a pretty good job. No issues. I like to take a little bit of oil, put it on the piston, on all the rings. Usually I use Lucas oil stabilizer because it's a little bit thicker. And I like Lucas products, so it's, I think it's, usually I add it to my main bearings and rod bearings too, with assembly lube sometimes, just to help start up, but just don't have any today. Got to order some. adjust this thing the right size. So it's ready to be installed. So you want to make sure it's flush, that the expander or the compressor is flush with all that. Got it in there, and now what I'm going to do is just tap on this thing. Boom. Piston in. Tap it all the way down till we can see the wrist pin on this side. I wish I could show you every angle of everything that I'm doing, but it's really hard to do. Well, forget that. I'll do that on the next one. I'll just install the pistons and then maybe I can show you how to hook those up. Grab my crank bolt. Bottom that one out there. Alright, so like I said before, we're going to take our piston rings and measure our ring gap. So this is going to be our second ring. Put that in there. Grab our feeler gauges and we'll measure our end gap. That's not within spec, so I'm going to pull that guy back out. Like what I said, what I do is I take some sandpaper with this ring and I'll put it against the table and I will go like that to get some of that stuff out. Just want to do a little bit at a time. You don't want to take too much off. End up having to get a new ring or something because your end gap's all out of whack. Push that in there again. Not quite where I want it, so I'll do it just a little bit more. Back in there. Let me see if I can show you. Up to the top left, that's our ring gap. Can't really see. Shed a little bit more light on the subject here. So right there, that's our ring gap. Yeah, I got my hand in there, it just... So, to me, that was good. So, I think I showed you a little bit. So, right there, upper left, that's our ring gap.